Hello, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Melissa with 1S, but you can call me Mel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the Costa Farms trending tropicals that I have in my houseplant collection. Wow, that was like a tongue twister. I'm going to be showing you the plants I have and I have purchased, and I will also be sharing with you the pros and the cons of buying from this company or buying these plants in these big box stores. So definitely stick around if you're interested or not too sure if you want to buy them, or if you have and maybe you've experienced or feel the same way of the pros and the cons that I will be sharing with you. So first I will be showing you the plants that I have in my collection and that I have purchased, and in the order that I actually bought them. Okay, so the first one that I bought from the collection is the beautiful Philodendron Birkin. This one came with the white ceramic pot. It did come with 2 plants in one pot, which is awesome. It definitely was one that was on my wish list. I couldn't pass this up because it just looks so beautiful and healthy, so I definitely wanted to grab it, and of course at a really good price. The next one that I bought from the collection is the ZZ Raven, and I have it in this wicker basket because if you've seen some of my past videos, I have this in the archway that divides 2 living spaces. So there's 4 of these in those 4 spaces. So now the ZZ Raven is the one that lives in that space. Such a beautiful plant. Again, one that I really wanted to buy, but just didn't know whether or not I really wanted it. And when I saw that Costa Farms was selling it, I took the opportunity to pick it up. Such a beautiful, trendy plant. Now, the next plant that I bought is the Sandapsis Moonlight Trubii. Again, such a beautiful, beautiful plant, and this one was probably one of the more popular, famous ones that Costa Farms didn't start to sell because of the price and just because of the demand of people wanting it. It was classified more as a rare plant, and I'm just so glad that I was able to find one. I'll actually share with you a story in just a little bit, but let me share with you some of the other plants that I bought in this collection. The next one that I bought is the Repot Hayi, Hayi. I'll leave it on the screen here. Such a beautiful plant. I'm not too much of a fan about this one. I am giving it a chance. It's grown quite a bit in my care already, probably halfway up. I remember when I purchased him, my fiance was like, oh, it's only half a plant. I'm like, well, it's gonna grow up. So it definitely has on both sides. And I'm just holding it with a bit of twine because I want it to start rooting itself onto the plank. But definitely a plant that I was surprised to also find at the big box store near me, and I'm excited to watch it grow. And I don't know, maybe I'll separate them, maybe I'll keep them together, we'll see. Last but not least, I bought the Aglaonema Silver Bay. This one did not come with, actually the ZZ plant, or the ZZ Raven plant, and this guy didn't come with the white pots, but it's okay. It was actually at a discounted price, or it was a different price versus the ones if you were to buy the white ceramic pot with it. It's a beautiful plant. They're very expensive when you buy them big, so I just wanted to start small. Again, it was an affordable price, so I said I might as well grab it and just watch it grow, just because again, a bigger size does come with a bigger price tag. So I don't love it enough to spend too much, but I like it enough to spend a bit, especially based on the price range of Costa Farms. So these are the plants that I bought. Let me know if you've bought any of the ones that I've purchased. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons. So the first pro that I'm going to share with you is the fact that Costa Farms is affordable. The price is really what's driving people to buy from this company. So something like the ZZ plant, I told you that it didn't come with a terracotta pot, but where I live, ZZ plants are still expensive. Specifically the Raven ZZ, actually. You'll find them on Facebook Marketplace for maybe $40 for a small piece, but they don't even sell them at the garden centers that often, so they do sell it pretty quickly. They're $40, $50 Canadian. But this guy, I already took out 3 different pieces because it was a bunch. It was like 7 different plants in this one pot, and I got it for $17 plus tax. So definitely the Raven ZZ is one that is coming in a lot more affordable with Costa Farms versus buying them from the garden centers or Facebook Marketplace. So that was definitely a steal where I live. Not too sure about where you live, but the Raven ZZ is one that I had to get, especially at the price that Costa Farms was selling. Another one that I would say comes out affordable is the Birkin, for sure, just because when you find a big Birkin, it is going to be more expensive at the garden centers, again $30 to $40. Meanwhile, with Costa Farms, I was able to buy this big luscious plant that actually has 2 separate plants in one pot, plus the ceramic pot, right? So came out super affordable, hard to resist when you find plants at that price. Another one that I would say definitely came out affordable was the Scindapsus Tribii Moonlight. Here where I live, people are selling a plant or one piece of a plant that has 3 leaves maybe for $25 to $40 Canadian, and that's quite expensive considering that Costa Farms is now selling a full plant. This is not even the full plant. I took out I think 3 or 4 pieces from here because it was too big for this terracotta pot. I got all of that for less than $30. I think they're selling them at like $26 Canadian. I know in America they're selling them for less than $20, so I guess the conversion or whatever, but definitely a plant I had to get my hands on. Now the story I wanted to tell you was that I actually called around to see what Lowe's and Rona had the Moonlight, because I just kept going to the ones closest to me and I just couldn't find them. They had the Birkin, they had the ZZ, they had the begonias, the peperomias and stuff, but I just couldn't find the Scindapsus that Costa Farms was selling. So sure enough, on my fiance's birthday, I just randomly called a Rona that was close to a ice cream shop that we went to in Brantford, and I explained to her that I was looking for a specific plant from this company, Costa Farms, and I was trying to explain to her what the leaves looked like. She's like, yeah, it sounds like we have it. I'm like, no way. So when we went to Brantford, I looked and it wasn't there, but she said on the phone that I would have to ask to see the ones inside, because where I live, it's still, well, it was still locked down where we couldn't go into shops. It was just some outdoor shops that you can go to, like garden centers were still open. And sure enough, anyways, I'm going on a ramble. Through the door on the side of the garden center, I could see that the Scindapsus Moonlight Tribii were sitting on the shelf there. I'm like, yeah, those are the ones, those are the ones. So she ended up bringing out like 4 of them for me to check out, and a couple of people on Instagram reached out to me. They're like, oh, where'd you find it? Because they lived near me or in the area. And I'm like, oh, in Brantford. So definitely a surprise that I was able to get my hands on one of these, because I know in the States a lot of YouTubers are finding them. So I was able to find my own here in my area. So super, super excited to have it. It is a slow grower, that's fine, but it's okay. Anyways, based on what I was saying, price is definitely a big one for that one, especially because, like I said, people are selling a cutting of 3 leaves for like $30, right? It's definitely difference in price. So the next part that I would say that it's a positive for Costa Farms that's also driving people is that you get a ceramic pot with the plant. Now, if you know, you know, pots themselves can also be expensive. So the fact that you get a nice, beautiful plant with a white ceramic pot is completely a bonus. It's basically for free based on the prices that they're selling these plants. This one was also sold with the ceramic pot. The 2 that didn't come with the ceramic pots were these 2 guys. So the Raven ZZ and the Aglaonema Silver Bay, but they were sold at a lower price. So they were over $10 off based on the price that you would get the ceramic pot plants. Obviously a bonus as well. I don't mind. I think these were like $17 each versus the $26 with the ceramic pots, which I don't mind because it does come in a grow pot that has a bunch of drainage holes and it's just more convenient as well. So definitely a bonus that they come with the ceramic pots. The third positive that I would say is the size of the plants. You're not getting a small plant with Costa Farms. You are getting a decent sized plant. So as you see here, these are all plants that came from Costa Farms. This plant comes with 2 on either side, not just 1. The Moonlight, like I said, there's a lot more that came with this plant, so you can just imagine how full it was. I think I actually bought 2, to be honest, so this is probably 1 versus the 2 that I bought. And the Birkin, big, full, I would say a size large when it comes to Birkin, because they are selling small versions at garden centers and then large versions. So I would say there's 2 large ones in here, which is a great size. The ZZ plant, same thing. It's not just all small sprouts or growth points. They're also mature sizes, which is fantastic. And I guess only the Aglaonema Silver Bay is still a smaller plant versus the big lush ones that you'll get for like $60 or $80 here. But either way, still a great size for the price that they're selling them at. The other piece that kind of goes with the size is how many plants are in the pot. So like I said before, the Birkin came with 2 plants. So if I really wanted to, I can divide this plant into 2 and you would still have 2 large Birkins separate to put in somewhere else in your home. But again, it's the same price, but if you divide it into 2, now you got, 2 plants for the price of 1. Same with the ZZ plants. There was about 6 or 7 different parts that came together. So I was able to divide them pretty easily, which was great. They have the tubers, I think they're called. They kind of look like potatoes on the surface. Again, very healthy, very full plant, and you can divide them and you can make multiple plants for the price of 1. The Aglaonema came with 3 separate plants, which I also was excited about. It just makes the plant look more full, and again, if I want to, I can divide it and make 3 plants versus just 1. And then the Repot, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Hoya. They came with 2 plants in 1 versus just 1 side, which is great for Costa Farms to be able to use up the other side of the plank. And if you want, you can divide this or you can keep it together and they will just climb together, which is great. When I bought this plant, it actually was halfway up, so it's growing pretty fast. And lastly, for the pro is accessibility. The accessibility of being able to buy these plants is very convenient for people because you're just going to your local big box store, if it's Rona or if it's Lowe's. Some people are finding them at Walmart in the States. Sometimes Home Depot will also have, but just in general, Home Depot will just have other varieties. But specifically Costa Farms, most likely you'll find them at Rona and Lowe's. It could just be down the street from your house. Maybe you have multiple Lowe's or Ronas in your city or in surrounding areas. So definitely, you could be going for light bulbs and then maybe pass by and buy a plant, or, get some spray paint for your DIYs and then maybe go buy a plant. And my fiance could testify to this because I definitely do it a lot. I always have to pass by the plant aisle just in case Costa Farms is there and they can come out with a new plant in my area. So I would say those are the top pros for Costa Farms. Now let's talk about the cons. So the first con that I want to start off with is the condition of the plants. The plants are not going to be in the ideal condition, like perfect and nothing to worry about. I'm going to be honest with you. So they are going to have some browning, some, maybe some split leaves. Maybe there's going to be some discoloration. So there's a variety of things that could happen with the plant while it's being shipped and then into the big box stores. Especially because in the big box stores, they're kind of just all crowded together onto one shelf. So they're not like spaced out where they're not going to be able to rip on something or pull on something. The one that really didn't come in the best condition is the Aglaonema Silver Bay. And to be honest, it's pretty common to see a lot of them in not so good of a condition. Now, why do I say that? Why do I say it's not in good condition? It's because it just looks sad. The lowest leaves have have been drooping, so I may have to repot it. I'm gonna wait to see. Maybe this week I'll repot it. You can see that there's browning in the middle, probably some pulled on it, something ripped it. A lot of them have browning on the inside or around the leaf. Now, I'm not too worried about it. It's not like it's something I would worry about in general, like discoloration and stuff, because the new growth is beautiful. So I'm not going to lie because it is healthy. But I definitely just want to be honest with you that you do want to search around, check the plants, try to see which one's in the best condition, and then, you know, make your decision from there. But this plant, I saw that each of the individual plants in the pot had new growth, which is why I said, okay, you know what, the newest growth is healthy. I'll take a chance. It's an affordable price. It's not like I'm spending $100 and then risking the plant not doing well. You know, at that point, you make your decision on whether or not you want to buy it. The other plant that maybe was a bit dried out was the ZZ plant, but it was from the smaller sections, so potentially where they propagated the plants from. So this new tall growth versus the small pieces, I don't mind because I could just cut those off if I want. So again, making the choice that based on the price, I could definitely take the chance and make sure that I take care of the plant and let it grow healthy and happy. But other than that, I would say that these did come out in great condition. Now, of course, I've looked through all the plants. I definitely take about 40 minutes to pick out a plant. I'll be that person that's holding like 2 plants. I'll put one back and then I'll keep the one that I think is the best, and then I'll kind of go through the shelf to see which one I decide to buy. So that's definitely something I did with this one. I think there was like 5 on the shelf and I just kind of narrowed it down to this one. It was the most healthy, the new growth was beautiful and big, and there was no browning, just obviously on these smaller lower leaves because it's what they propagated from. But other than that, it was a nice plant. And I would say the Birkin and the Syndapsis, they were pretty good condition. I mean, the one leaf maybe has holes in it for the Birkin, but other than that, it is an older leaf, so I didn't worry too much because the newer growth was nice and white, nice and big, nothing to worry about. I talked about the condition of the plants as being an issue, but also potentially pests. So I have seen pests on the plants, either if it's spider mites or I don't know, other things. Like even now, like I just keep looking at this Aglaonema because it's the newest one I bought to make sure that there's no bugs underneath the leaves. So you do risk potentially bringing pets into your bringing in pests into your home. So that's something you do want to do. You want to inspect the plant for pests, look underneath the leaves, make sure you don't see webbing, make sure you don't see any like white stuff, that you don't see any, you know, nibbles, like there was animals eating on the leaves. Also, just a risk that you're taking buying from a big box store. I mean, in general, also garden centers, but more so big box stores because they're not going to be monitoring it that often. So definitely pests is something to keep in mind. Another thing that I actually noticed from the plants that come in the ceramic pots is to check underneath the grow pot and see if there are spider webs at the bottom and whether or not there are centipedes or spiders in the ceramic pot. The reason I'm saying this is because when they transfer the plants, there's definitely an opportunity for centipedes and spiders to make their way under the pot, and there is a little bit of space where they can hide. It's humid. It's ideal for them to be hanging out at the bottom. So definitely something else that I've noticed. So just pick up the plant, look underneath, see if you see some webbing, see if you see some spiders or centipedes at the bottom, because that could be an issue because the plant has been in this cover pot for a long period of time. The other piece that I would say is a con is that you will most likely have to repot the plant sooner than you expect. The soil may not be ideal. You may want to give it some new nutrition. You may want to change what's in the soil depending on your plant parent habits. And something like the ZZ plant would need more of a cacti soil because they definitely don't like to have wet feet. They don't like to be watered often. can let them dry between waterings, versus something like a Birkin or a Repot where you may actually water them more often than the ZZ. So that may be just preference, but definitely expecting that you may have to repot them based on the soil, based on the condition of the plant. So definitely something to keep in mind. Just to make connection to the last con that I just spoke about is potentially having to uppot the plant or having to change the pot that it's in because of the size, right? So because of that, you're not going to use the ceramic pot anymore, right? So that beautiful free ceramic pot that you just got, you're basically not going to use for that specific plant. You can definitely use it for another plant, but if you are going to be uppotting it like I did with this Scindapsus Moonlight Trubii, I wanted it to be in a bigger pot in this terracotta, that way it could breathe more versus in a plastic small pot. So something else that could be an issue, that if you don't have the supplies at home to repot right away, you may have to buy everything there, not only the Costa plant, but also your supplies to repot, a new grow pot, all of that. So yeah, so that can also be a con if you are interested in buying these plants. Certain things to consider before you do purchase a plant from this collection. Now, as I'm sitting here, that was gonna be my last con, but something else I did want to mention, or you may be thinking about this as well, is the fact that you have to watch your watering with these ceramic cover pots, not just with Costa Farms pots, but just in general, because if you do like watering your plant, if you are heavy with the watering, covering it with a ceramic pot is an issue, can cause root rot because you're not allowing the roots to breathe, right? As opposed to me grabbing this pot and then just putting it in a saucer. It has a lot more space to breathe versus being in this ceramic pot that's pretty thick, pretty heavy. So yeah, so definitely something that I do want to say in this video, that if you're not giving the plant bright and direct light or high humidity, you know, there's certain things that will contribute to whether or not you should even have the plant in a cover pot. I do have some of them in cover pots. This Birkin I have in a cover pot because it is in bright and direct light. And I do have this one in a cover pot because it is in bright and direct light. Now this Scindapsus Trubii I have in terracotta because I'm just worried about root rot with this one, but that's just a preference. Also, I like the look of it with the terracotta. And the ZZ, because it's one that just really doesn't like to stay moist, I do just keep it in the plastic pot, and then this wicker basket has a saucer at the bottom. So definitely has a lot of room to breathe. So just the one last con that I wanted to add into there. So let me know what you think about the pros and the cons and what plants you've purchased. I know that Costa Farms has a variety, like they have the Monstera Peru coming out. I already have that plant. They have two types of begonias. They have a peperomia. They have different, like a yellow philodendron, I think it is. They have small fiddle-leaf figs. So definitely a variety of plants depending on what you like. Will depend on what plants you buy, how many plants you buy from the Costa Farms. So if you leave a comment down below, let me know if there's any other pros and cons that you would add to this video or to this list, or if there's anything else that you feel would be helpful for people to know. But yeah, so that's all for today. I was excited to make this video, especially show you the plants that I have from the Costa Farms collection. All right, so take care and I will see you soon.